Just in case the blockbuster news of the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade did not give you enough to chew on over the weekend, on Sunday night, a three-team blockbuster was pulled off between the San Antonio Spurs, the Chicago Bulls, and the Sacramento Kings, which sent De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio. I can't even wrap my head around the idea that we're not in an offseason right now, right? We're at a trade deadline where there are much more strict financial rules for how NBA trades can be, put through in things like that. And De'Aaron Fox isn't even a top two name that has been dealt so far. There is no league like it out there. It is why we all love the NBA so much. But yes, De'Aaron Fox, if you have not been sleeping this entire weekend, De'Aaron Fox has been traded to the San Antonio Spurs. It's a three-team blockbuster deal that sees Zach LaVine going to the Sacramento Kings. We'll go over the full trade in just a second, but this escalated pretty quickly, right? It was early last week that De'Aaron Fox seemed like he was going to be on his way out of Sacramento. He has pretty much told the organization he was not going to sign a long-term extension, had named the San Antonio Spurs as the team he wanted to go to, and 3 or 4 days later, he ends up there. I'll give you my full thoughts on this trade and, of course, all of the moving parts around it once we do get into the actual gameplay. But once again, I really can't fathom how this always happens, right? It feels like every single time we come to a point where we have NBA discussions, everybody just forgets that at the drop of a hat, a blockbuster deal like this one, like the AD and Luka trade, can be pulled off. This is a super exciting trade. I think De'Aaron Fox and Victor Wembanyama are going to be a really, really fun duo for a very, very long time. We'll talk about this Spurs team in just a minute, and just in case, for God knows what reason, because who knows what can happen in a few days, I want to let you guys know that I am recording this video on Monday night. So at this moment, there has not been a bigger trade than a De'Aaron Fox to San Antonio move. But if it happens, I just wanted to let you know I'm pre-recording this. So, yep, super excited about this one of the deadline, obviously on Thursday. We are very much looking forward to some more deals, but very excited for this one today. Let me know any other video ideas down below in the comment section. Let's do it. As we did for the Luka Doncic and Anthony Davis trade videos, we are using Start Today. That makes some logical sense. These are deadline trades. We are going to go ahead and use the starting point where this team is actually at in real life. Now, in case you have not seen it or have been asleep or living under a rock, whatever the scenario is, if you have not seen the blockbuster three-team deal that was pulled off on Sunday night, I will read it to you. The San Antonio Spurs are acquiring De'Aaron Fox and Jordan McLaughlin. The Sacramento Kings are getting Zach LaVine, Sidy Cissoko, 3 future first-round picks, one of them in 2025 via the Hornets. I believe that's top 10 protected. A 2027 Spurs first-round pick and a 2031 first-round pick via the Minnesota Timberwolves. And finally, the Chicago Bulls are getting Zach Collins, Trey Jones, Kevin Huerter, and they are getting their own first-round pick back from the Spurs, which was technically top 10 protected anyways, but that's neither here nor there at this point. All right, this is a Spurs team that is probably not going to be in contention this season. I think the majority of people will probably agree with that. But what this Spurs team had really been searching for was somebody to pair up next to Victor Wembanyama, somebody who was an established star in this league already. And almost luckily for them, De'Aaron Fox came out last week and said, hey, I want to go to San Antonio, and San Antonio is now his home. Let's talk about this Spurs team as they currently stand at the time I am recording this. They are 21-25, maybe going to end up fighting for a play-in spot. I think, again, this team definitely got better over the last 48 hours, but I think there is still a little bit of work to do before we consider them any sort of serious threat in the Western Conference. So, starting out here at the point guard spot, De'Aaron Fox, who is under contract for, 1.5 more years at this point. I believe he's going to be a nice long-term fit in San Antonio. While him and Victor Wembanyama's timelines don't match up exactly, like De'Aaron Fox isn't some 22-year-old that has shown a lot of promise. He's been in the league for a while. He's 27 years old, has obviously already signed a few different contract extensions. I think he's going to be at the point where he will be good enough throughout Victor Wembanyama's end-of-stage rookie scale, if not his first extension, where this duo can be a whole lot of fun. So I like this fit a lot. At the end of the day, 39, 40-year-old Chris Paul was not going to be the point guard that really helped Victor Wembanyama get over the hill, if you will. Still do have CP3 here. I'm not really sure if he's going to be here much past this year. I could see a world where maybe they send him to a contender at the deadline, but who the hell really knows what's going to end up happening there? Of course, Jordan McLaughlin, the other piece that the San Antonio Spurs acquired in that deal. You got 21-year-old Blake Wesley here as well. So there's a decent amount of depth here at this point guard spot. Of course, all 4 of these guys are not going to play. As of now, it is just going to be Fox and Chris Paul. The shooting guard spot, Devin Vassell, 24 years of age, 83 overall, is of course locked up on a long-term extension. I think he could be a really nice piece for this team. I think he could be a nice third scoring option, if you will, and I'm excited to see what he's going to do. You got Stephon Castle, who has been one of the better rookies so far. And I think the biggest win for San Antonio in this entire thing is the fact that he was not included in this deal. He's been a really, really promising young player, and I think he's going to be really good in this league for a really long time. So I'm not exactly sure where we're going to play him today. I certainly would like to have him in the starting lineup. So, of course, we will take a look at all sorts of different options before we continue simming. Malachi Branham here as well, who is only 21. I feel like might be a little bit older at this point, but no, he's only 21. The small forward spot is interesting because Harrison Barnes is one of the veteran players on this team who's 32 at this point. Probably not going to be a starter for this team long term, but he is here as of now. Also, we're able to hang on to Keldon Johnson. I thought he'd be a piece that Sacramento would be interested in. Spurs were able to get it done without including him. And then finally, Julian Champagnie here, 2 years, $6 million, 23 years old for a 76 overall. Really not that terrible whatsoever. Finally, the power forward, well, not finally, but the power forward spot here, I sure as hell thought Jeremy Sohan was going somewhere in this deal. Whether it was Sacramento, whether it was Chicago, I just thought for sure that Sohan was going to be moved. But again, ton of credit to San Antonio's front office for being able to keep him on this deal because I do think he's going to be valuable in the future. Sandro here, cannot pronounce his last name. I have tried many, many times. It has never gotten better. I'm terrible with names. Not going to give it a go today. And then finally, the center spot. The number 1 overall pick back in 2023. You can take a look at his numbers so far. He's an alien. He's a unicorn. He is whatever you want him to be. But he is slowly approaching top 5 player territory if he's not there already. I don't really have a complaint if you want to put him in that top 5 conversation already, but he's going to be one of the best players in the world, if not, next year. It'll be very, very soon because he is going to dominate and rule the NBA for a very long time. And then finally, 24-year-old Charles Bassey here, who is an expiring deal, but a 78 overall, could be a nice long-term backup center for us. So that's the team, right? There's a decent amount of depth here. There are certainly some quality players. I think I want to make 1 or 2 moves before we continue simulating this season, just to add for a little bit of reference. I'm sure many of you are aware, but this is not going to be a realistic rebuild. Once again, not a realistic rebuild. Sometimes people still get the two confused, but we're going to make whatever moves 2K allows me to. Let's get into it. We're pulling off a deal here with the Washington Wizards, which is going to land us Kyle Kuzma and Corey Kispert. We are sending out Harrison Barnes and Chris Paul. I understand they are 2 of the veteran players on a relatively young Spurs team, but honestly, this is not a realistic rebuild. This is a video where I'm certainly thinking long term, and adding Kuzma and Kispert I think is going to be a really big benefit for us. So I'm excited about this deal. In total, we are giving up 1 second-round pick, which again feels like a really big steal for 2 players of that caliber, but that is 1 move down. I'm not really sure if we have many more to go. Okay, we have finalized this rotation for the rest of year number 1. We did not end up making any other trades, and here's how it is going to look. The starting 5 is exactly as 2K suggests it. Now, I moved Stephon Castle to the 3. He jumped up 1 overall. Jeremy Sohan is still the recommended starting power forward, so that is what we are going to go with here for the first season anyways. De'Aaron Fox and Devin Vassell is going to be our backcourt. Of course, we just mentioned we got Castle and Sohan at the 3 and the 4. And then maybe the biggest surprise of all, we're starting Victor Wembanyama the center spot. No, I'm kidding. Kuzma is going to be my 6th man here. Again, I don't know if there's a better way to argue that him or Sohan should be starting. Although the game recommends I play Kuzma more minutes, which I am not. If I auto set this, it will actually still have him as a 6th man and still have Sohan in the starting 5. Corey Kispert, a new addition from the Washington Wizards, will be the backup shooting guard. You got Keldon Johnson at the backup 3. Charles Bassey backing up Victor Wembanyama, and then in a maybe a bit of a surprise move, I moved Malachi Branham to the 1. He went down a couple overalls. It's not the end of the world. I decided against maybe making a bigger deal for a better backup point guard, strictly because I want to be able to keep some of the flexibility this offseason with some of these team options on rookie scale contracts. So that's just where we're at for now. It's 10 minutes a night backing up De'Aaron Fox. Not a super big deal. But yeah, I don't know if this team's going to make the playoffs. We can maybe strive for the play-in or something like that. Maybe an 8 seed, be a pretty tough first round exit, but we'll see. We are currently 21 and 25, and let's see how the rest of year 1 goes. We had a really strong second half of this first season. We finished with a record of 46 and 36. I'll take it. Maybe that's a full-blown playoff spot. I don't really know. Now, Nikola Jokic wins his, what would that be, 4th career MVP? Just insane. Alex Sarr, your Rookie of the Year. He is in D.C. You got Naz Reid as your 6th man. Wemby wins the Depoy. Men Thompson, Most Improved. Trae Young, Clutch Player of the Year. And Joe Mazzulla, head coach of the Boston Celtics, is your coach of the year. So we are in the plan. You can see we are taking on Phoenix, and if we win that game, we'll be the 7th seed. If we lose, we'll be taking on the winner of 9 versus 10, which could maybe end up being the Lakers, because, wow, that's a shock that they'd be a little better. Here are the numbers across the board. Technically, De'Aaron Fox led us in scoring, but let's just, keep it clear. These are his numbers from Sacramento as well, incorporated here. So it's a little kind of, not exactly 100% accurate. We know how good Wemby is. Devin Vassell, as I mentioned, really nice third option. Kyle Kuzma coming off the bench. Keldon Johnson, Stephon Castle, Jeremy Sohan, Champagnie, Kispert, and then Branham. Rebounding department's going to be led by Wemby, and assists is De'Aaron Fox. So we are winning this game, and then we are at the 7th seed. Tyus Jones, Devin Booker, Bradley Beal, Kevin Durant. You got Mason Plumlee starting over Nick Richards. I don't really know if I love that. Grayson Allen, Yusuf Nurkic coming off the bench. We won, which means we are the 7th seed, and we'll be taking on Anthony Davis. Oh, wow, the Lakers didn't even make the playoffs in this scenario. We'll be taking on Anthony Davis and the Dallas Mavericks. I did that rebuild yesterday, and it was an interesting one. If you have not watched it, go check it out after this. All right, here goes nothing. Maybe we have the best player in the series. I don't know. Would you take Wemby or AD right now? I might take Wemby. I'm not going to lie to you. We're down 3-1, and we do end up losing in 5. Again, all things considered, not a terrible first year for a team that was, 4 or 5 games under 500 when we started out with them. It's going to be Anthony Edwards and the Minnesota Timberwolves going up against Jason Tatum and the Boston Celtics. Timberwolves get it done in 7, and Ant is your finals MVP. All right, it is time for the first offseason. We are obviously going to have, a lot of flexibility with this team. We have a lot of younger players still on those rookie scale contracts, and of course, we still do have a decent amount of draft capital that we are able to offer up in any sort of trade. So, it is time for the draft lottery. That Atlanta pick will be ours, no doubt about that in my mind. That Bulls pick, which of course they now have back, is projected to be number 7, and then I think the Charlotte pick, which the Kings technically now own, is top whatever protected. So that's cool. We are at number 9 from the Atlanta Hawks. That is more than okay with me. Gonna hang on to Popovich. I'll let him go basically as long as he wants. Of course, one of the greatest in NBA history. So the 9th overall pick is nice. It's not going to get me, a Cooper Flag or probably not anybody of that stature, but I think there is something we can do, and I'd certainly like to add to this star duo we have here with Wemby and Fox. So I might have a trade. I might not. I'm not really 100% sure yet. Oh, what in the world? That went through? Okay, well, we did a 2-for-1 swap. We sent out Kyle Kuzma and Keldon Johnson, and in return, the Miami Heat were willing to give me Bam Adebayo. Why? I have no idea, but thanks, I guess. Okay. Obviously, a real significant upgrade at our power forward spot. Look, I don't have anything against Jeremy Sohan or Kyle Kuzma, but clearly Bam is just a significant upgrade over the pair. So, yeah, I thought we were going to have to go with a draft pick as well. Not the case. So we still have the 9th overall pick. We still have the 20th overall pick. I'm going to use both of those. I'm going to move on from my second round picks, and then that's pretty much it. I don't really see a way that was going to happen, like at least with what I was offering, but it did, and we are now here, and we are on the board, and I think Igor Demine might make a lot of sense because we're looking for a backup point guard, and he's sitting right here. So, Igor Demine, welcome to the team. Again, probably butchering the pronunciation of his name, and for that, I apologize. Some other positions we could be looking for. You got 3 centers sitting right here. I think I've drafted a lot of them before. I think maybe Kadeem Malik could make a little bit of sense for me, just considering that, Charles Bassey is a free agent. I likely will be bringing him back, but you never know. So, Kadeem Malik, 7'2", 250 pounds out of Duke. Welcome to San Antonio. 77 and 74 overall, respectively. Wemby going to be brought back. Same with Sohan. I will bring back McLaughlin just because, again, in an unrealistic rebuild, I don't really think it matters too much. Harrison Ingram and Riley Minix, whoever you are, not going to be getting qualified. And as we look here to free agency, we do have a couple notable names with Charles and Sandro. I'm thinking I'll probably pay Charles for now, let him have at least one more year at the backup center spot, and then maybe we look to do a little something else for year 3. But I'm pretty happy with the moves we've made so far. I don't really think there's anything else that's required, at least heading into year 2. I would like to clean up the little bit of a log jam we have here at the point guard spot. In all honesty, it'll probably be Fox and Demine heading into year 2. Shooting guard, I'm pretty comfortable with Vassell and Kispert. I'd like to maybe find a small upgrade here. Nothing wrong with Champagnie, but if there's an upgrade out there, I'd like to maybe take it. And then again, obviously the addition of Bam for, not nothing. Keldon Johnson and Kyle Kuzma are good players, but they're just nowhere near Bam Adebayo. But thank you very much, Miami. Probably one more trade to go. I know I got him in Monday's video, and I promise I'll take a little bit of a break after this one, but Obi Toppin is just being let go by the Pacers. I mean, don't get me wrong, Branham, Blake Wesley are some okay young players, but to, again, not get a single draft pick in return for Obi Toppin, or not give up a single one, feels like a really big win. So Toppin's going to slide into the backup 3. He, of course, will be behind Stephon Castle, and at this point, I don't really think there's any other major moves coming. I think the only thing we're going to do is see if anybody out here is on an expiring deal and may have to be traded. Like, I could hang on to Champagnie just because he has a team option after this. Fine. I'll just hang on to him. Maybe he's a trade piece. But that's going to be it for moves, and we are going to head into year number 2 with some pretty high expectations. Year 2 for us here, which also happens to be our first full season in San Antonio. This offseason, we made couple trades, most notably the blockbuster. Well, can you call it a blockbuster considering what we gave up to get Bam Adebayo? I don't know, but he is a blockbuster player in my opinion, and I'm super pumped to see him in a front court with Victor Wembanyama. De'Aaron Fox, Devin Vassell remain our backcourt. Stephon Castle is developing quite nicely here at the 3. Of course, we brought in Bam to play next to Wemby. Bench unit will be led by Obi Toppin. Still got Jeremy Sohan. He just slides to the backup power forward role. Brought back Charles Bassey, Corey Kispert, and then went ahead and drafted Gordon Amin. So I'm excited. I think this team is easily going to be, in the playoffs again, hopefully as a top 4 seed this time around, and sky's the limit with Wemby, man. It really is. So I'll see you guys at the end of year number 2. Just in case you were wondering if this game was a pretty big fan of Victor Wembanyama, it is. First and foremost, he won an MVP award. He also led us to 76 wins. 76-6, which would be, of course, the greatest record in the history of basketball. I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine. I say it every time it happens. I've had a lot of great teams. This one is really solid. Don't get me wrong. It's not even close to 76 wins, though. But I guess it is. Wemby is your MVP. Cooper Flagg in Utah wins Rookie of the Year. Simon's your 6th man in Portland. Wemby also wins another deep boy. You got Scoot Henderson, Most Improved. John Morant, Clutch Player of the Year. And Old Pop, 76, 8, whatever years old at this point, winning Coach of the Year still. We are the 1 seed. That is a safe bet at 76-6, 18 games up on the Dallas Mavericks, and obviously it is the best record in basketball. So a year 2 championship on the horizon. I mean, potentially. I didn't know. I don't know. I knew we were going to be good. I didn't think we had a possibility to be this good, but here we are. Let's see. Round 1 is us and the New Orleans Pelicans. DeJounte Murray, Trey Johnson, B.I., Zion, Mitchell Robinson. I'm surprised Brandon Ingram hasn't been. I feel like I haven't heard his name brought up in trade talks. I know he's hurt right now, but I just felt like, maybe he made sense for the Pelicans. Maybe he's already been traded by the time you're seeing this. I don't really know. But he's definitely definitely not probably, but he might not sign an extension with his team in the offseason. Nonetheless, we're going to sweep them out of their own building in round 1, and we move on to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who, I don't care what my record is, this is not an easy matchup. Just looking at how unbelievably sound this team is, especially defensively. A lot of great chemistry going on here. I'm nervous. I'm not going to lie to you. We are up 2-0. Make that 3-0. Why am I getting nervous? Your guess is as good as mine. And now a battle of 2 of the best in the world with Victor Wembanyama and Nikola Jokic. Oh, also got Josh Giddey here. Going up against each other in the Western Conference Finals. We have yet to lose a playoff game. There we go. Of course, as soon as I say it. We are up 3-1, and we close them out as we are in the finals for the first time this video. Now, we're taking on Tyrese Halliburton and the Indiana Pacers. You got Hallie, Nembhard, Mathurin, Siakam, Wiseman. What? Let me please logically explain why James Wiseman is starting over Miles Turner. Ooh, DeAndre Hunter's a really nice piece. And of course, our old friend Malachi Branham. All right, they're good. I think we're better. I don't really think there's much conversation around that. We're up 3-1 right now. And as we head back to San Antonio, can we potentially close it out on our home floor, get a little bit of gameplay, get some shots up? We can talk about the future of the Spurs. I think that'd be some fun. All right, well, unless we have a crazy blown lead, we're going to be winning this one. So I will just see you guys in there. 3:15 left on the game clock. We are currently up by 16 points here in Game 5. I don't really get to use Wemby often because I don't really get a lot of gameplay, but let me just use this demigod right here. The MVP of the league, the guy that led this team to 76 wins. Oh, he is something, man. All right, I guess we can talk about the actual San Antonio Spurs right now. I want to give them a lot of credit, right? I think first and foremost, They made a really good trade, right? They saw that a player of it was De'Aaron Fox, but a player of that caliber, like a De'Aaron Fox, specifically wanted to come to their team. And instead of waiting the 2 years to maybe to the point where Wemby's a little bit better, maybe their team as a whole is a little bit better, and then tried to sign Fox in free agency, they made a decision to go out and get him right now. And I really respect a move like that because it feels like maybe more often than not when a player says, oh, I want to go here, and then doesn't go somewhere, gets traded somewhere else, it seems like they sign an extension more often than not. So I really want to give a props to the Spurs for going out and getting Wemby, a kind of a co-star, if you will. They didn't wait. They didn't really say, you know what, Wemby's just in his 2nd year. We can give this more time before we go out and get somebody. They went out and did it because they're fully aware of how good Victor Wembanyama is. The entire world is at this point. And I really credit them for being willing to give up the draft assets. I know they have a lot more picks where that came from, but really just being able to get it done because that's not an easy trade. I understand that, for whatever reason, the Sacramento Kings are of the opinion that if they get a player like Zach LaVine in return, they are still going to be in the win now territory. And although technically they are. I think we're all pretty much aware that Sacramento team is probably not winning a championship or even really competing for one anytime soon. So they were able to get that 3-team deal done. Those are always complicated, to give that front office a ton of credit. And then we'll talk a little bit more about it tomorrow when we do the Kings side of this. But the Kings were put in a tough spot, right? It's always challenging when a guy says, I want to go here. I will not sign an extension anywhere else. Trade me here. You know, it's tough. And that's kind of what you get in the NBA these days. And there's nothing wrong with it. It's just the way things work. But I credit the Kings for being able to get some draft capital, because I think it is good. I think they are probably not wanting to accept that I think a full-scale rebuild is going to be coming soon. They have some good players, don't get me wrong. Domantas Sabonis, obviously great. Still got DeMar DeRozan, Keegan Murray, Malik Monk, and now, of course, the addition of Zach LaVine. But that's not really competing in the West. That team is not going to be a championship contender. And, of course, DeMar's not getting any younger. LaVine's still really good. Has had a really solid season, but he's not getting any younger either. I think that team's going to have to probably pull the plug sooner or later. But they got obviously enough in what they were looking for in return to make this deal happen. And De'Aaron Fox at pretty much any other trade deadline would pretty easily be the biggest piece that has moved. But obviously we had a bit of an exception this time around. So we're going to be winning a championship here. I will see you guys with the Finals MVP. The greatest season in NBA history has officially come to an end, and we cap it off with a championship and 22-year-old Victor Wembanyama a Finals MVP. Yeah, good luck, NBA. I don't know what the rest of you are doing about that. LeBron James calling it a career to Chris Paul as well, an old friend there. Kevin Durant at 37 years of age. Alec Burks, just all the legends, man. I'm just kidding. All right, Kenny Atkinson also calling it a career. I'm surprised Popovich is still willing to kind of just ride this thing out, but I would be too, honestly. We are projected to have the 10th overall pick from the Atlanta Hawks. That DeJounte Murray deal looks worse and worse for Atlanta pretty much every single day. I mean, technically, I guess they're not super pissed. I mean, they're probably pissed about the draft picks, but Dyson Daniels looks really good. So we have the 10th overall pick. The Bulls actually had the top 2 picks because 2K and its protections are completely fucking broken. Where on earth is Popovich? Thank you very much. Let's bring back Pop. You're not willing to come back? Okay. Not exactly the answer I was hoping for. But Popovich apparently not interested in coming back to San Antonio at 90 years old or however old he is. He's willing to look for a different challenge at this point. Okay. 10th overall pick. We also have 4 second-round picks, none of which I'm going to use. Again, we have guys who we drafted last year that aren't really getting significant minutes. We don't need second-round picks. But I will draft somebody at number 10. Whether or not they stay on this team is a little beyond me at this point. Chris Sanak. Malik Thomas. I mean, I'm just thinking we don't really have any big needs, but I'm going to take Malik Thomas strictly for the fact that Corey Kispert's entering free agency, right? There's a possibility we may need a new backup shooting guard. He's going to be a 76 overall. Team player options, all of you, except for KJ Lewis, will be brought back. We look at qualifying. Sohan entering restricted free agency. Can you imagine if we had Luka money? I wish. Oh, De'Aaron Fox as well. That's a pretty big one. So let's just pay him. Let's pay Jeremy Sohan. And at this point, I don't think there's anything major coming. Maybe 1 or 2 smaller-ish bench moves, but who knows? It's the final season, and I'm kind of just saying fuck it at this point. If I can go out and get Tyrese Maxey, why not? Ultimately, we have so much depth on this team and guys that we're just not going to be playing that, I don't know, why not look for an upgrade? Look, is this necessary? Absolutely not. But why the hell would I not at least give it a shot? They're not going to take it. I have some draft picks that I can certainly... God, I love this game. All right, I understand we're a really undersized backcourt now with 6'2" Maxey and 6'3" De'Aaron Fox, but I think I got over it. I think we'll be fine as we head into the final season. So I'll just see you guys with the rotation. So last year, we not only won a championship, we also won 76 games. And this offseason, for God knows what reason, I decided to add Tyrese Maxey to this mix. So, yeah, it's about as good as it's going to get. This team's absolutely insane, and yeah, I fully expect to go back-to-back. De'Aaron Fox, Tyrese Maxey, Stephon Castle is up to an 88 overall. Bam Adebayo and Victor Wembanyama is your 1 through 5. Crazy. Bench unit, Gordon Mean is up to an 83. He's going to be my 6th man here. Sohan behind him. Charles Bassey, the backup center. Obi Toppin, who fell significantly in the rotation, and I kind of feel bad about it, but I'm sure he'll get over it. And then finally, Malik Thomas, who we just drafted with what, the 10th overall pick, something like that. We have a new head coach in Mike Stauffer. I was not necessarily planning on that, but Popovich decided to go elsewhere. So I'll see you guys at the end of year number 3. I am sorry to report that our final season was a down year, at least for our standards. We go 72-10. Now, obviously last year at 76-6 was unbelievable, but I'm never going to complain about a 72-win season. Nikola Jokic is your MVP. You got Cameron Boozer in Chicago taking home Rookie of the Year. VJ Edgecombe is your sixth man in Brooklyn. Wemby wins a third straight DPOY. Kobe Buffkin, Most Improved. Tyler Hero, Clutch Player of the Year. And our new head coach, Mr. Michael Stauffer, is taking home Coach of the Year in his first season. All right, obviously we are going to be the 1 seed. It is the best record in basketball, and at this point, if anything but a championship happens, I would be very, very surprised. Rebounds led by Wemby as well, and then assists is De'Aaron Fox. Round 1, us and the Houston Rockets, who are a good team, right? I'm not really sure how this is a first-round matchup. I understand the West is loaded, but that's not my favorite team to play in the first round of the playoffs. But we're up 3-0. They do take home game 4. We close them out in 5. Now we're moving on to the Pelicans, who I believe we saw last year and are good. How did Dyson Daniels end up back in New Orleans? Okay. Well, he did, and, they're decent. I just think they're not even close to our caliber. We sweep them. Now we're moving on to Denver once again here in the Western Conference Finals. Not much has changed since we saw them last year. I still think we are the better team, and hopefully we go out and prove that. And, we sweep them as well. And we are running it back from last year's finals. We are taking on Halliburton and the Pacers once again, who have now put Miles Turner back in the starting 5. Great work. I know that was a challenging decision. And I think we're at the point of this video where if I didn't win, I would be unbelievably, unequivocally shocked out of my mind. We go back-to-back. Victor Wembanyama wins his second straight finals MVP, and he is pretty much at this point a first ballot Hall of Famer at 23 years old. Insane. All right, we gave a lot of thoughts here on the De'Aaron Fox addition to this Spurs team. Again, I give the Spurs a lot of credit for going out and getting the guy that specifically said he wanted to go to San Antonio. They could have waited the 2 years and kind of had a little bit of a risk and obviously not given up trade assets. But when you have a player that obviously is super young in Victor Wembanyama, but is already as good as he is, I think you got to strike while the iron's hot. I really do think it made a lot of sense for them to go out and get that done. So they're going to be a super fun duo to watch. I'm very much looking forward to seeing it in action in the coming days. If it has not already happened, actually, it may have. Because I'm recording this on Monday. You're not seeing this till Wednesday. But this was a fun rebuild. I obviously enjoyed it a ton. It wasn't super challenging, but that's just kind of what you get when a team like the Spurs have a rebuild to do. So I enjoyed it. Tomorrow is all likelihood going to be the King side of this with Zach LaVine now there. That's going to be a bit more challenging, but I look forward to it. And maybe at this point another blockbuster trade has gone down. Who really knows these days, right? So that's it for me. As always, thanks so much for watching. I love you guys. I'll catch you guys all in the next one.